Welcome to Triangle BNI. Today's show is brought to you by Simply Done Concierge. Folks, busy season, springtime, a lot of cleaning, probably finished spring break. You went somewhere you needed to be a couple places at once. Mary and her team at Simply Done Concierge can do that for you if you will go to their website, simplydoneconcierge.com. Tell them what you're looking for. I know they'll be able to help. Hi, everybody. My name is Mike Manning. Each week on Triangle BNI, we bring you a local small business success story. If you're not familiar with BNI, it is Business Networking International, the world's largest networking organization. Our little slice of heaven here in the Triangle, Raleigh, Durham, Chapel Hill, and the surrounding towns, has 33 chapters, about 600 plus members that meet every week, and our goal is to help each other grow our businesses. And our local small business success story this week is Kimberly Williamson with Movement Mortgage, part of the Williamson Mortgage team. Kimberly is in the chapter that Amnon and I are trying to start, RD13. Top of the Triangle, we meet Tuesday mornings at 8:15 at the Farm Bureau office on Western Boulevard. Please come join us if you want to meet some fun people that actually know what they're doing, growing books of business. Kimberly, I know you as Kim. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I do want to correct you. Can I start this by correcting you?
I'm a
We're
husband. Yeah.
we're not trying to start this. This is like up
Yes,
and running.
that's
We are
true.
we
Okay.
are roaring and ready to go, and we can't wait for everybody to come join us.
We're trying to get launched quickly. How about that?
Yes.
Yeah. So, yeah. So we're good. I've been corrected before lunch. I feel all right. Now my
Check
center
it
is,
off your list.
yeah, well, everything's lined up now. Yeah. So I'm good. All right. So we're going to talk with a number of things with Kim. We're going to talk mortgage and family and things like that. Kim and her husband, Jared, are the Williamson mortgage team, and we're going to get to that. But Kim, you've been going through this housing cycle now. Last couple of years been like a roller coaster. Back in the day, 2 years ago, right? It was 3.3% interest rates. It's not now. A lot of people assume that they cannot buy a house in this market, and that's not correct. So, what are some of the tips or some of the things you can ask people to start thinking about if they truly want to buy a house in this market today?
Well, I'm going to probably answer a question that you're going to ask later. So let me just go down your list. That is my Jared, my husband, has been doing this for 20 plus years, and I have been teaching. But that's the whole reason that I joined his team is as a teacher, I would walk around the halls, and even before the world ended and rates got great, I mean, there were pros and cons to that. There were so many people that just walked around basing life off of headlines and hearsay and thought they could never buy a house. And I knew more because I was married to Jared, and that was one of the big reasons I wanted to join is I want to make it possible. There's so much information that people need and misinformation out there. So especially everyone just assumes, oh, things were good. It's almost like, oh, you could have only bought a house in this 2 year span, and now we can never buy a house again. And so the first thing I will say, and I tell it to anyone that will listen, is it's never too early to talk to a loan officer. Specifically, I'd love to talk to you. Don't listen to your friends, unless I'm your friend. But just we love to help people budget. Like maybe you're not ready for a year or two, but let's get you on that path and figure out how. A big misconception is that if you're not a first time home buyer, you can't use first time home buyer programs. Something that I've definitely learned and try to share is there's like one program I really know that you have to be a first time home buyer, but there's so many programs that everyone qualifies for. They're just branded that way to get some first time home buyers in the door. So the amount of programs and support and options and scenarios, there are so many third alternative ways to do things that it costs nothing to ask. It could cost you to wait. So the best advice I will leave you with is just call up a professional and ask, "Hey, where do I stand? Can I? Could you help me get there if I can't now?" And there will absolutely be a plan in place.
Yeah, one of the things I've learned through BNI, and there's a bunch of things on the list, especially from the mortgage people lately. And by the way, first of all, some of the people today should talk to people who bought houses many, many years ago. A 6% interest rate would have been a steal.
I
It's
know.
up right. So it's It's one
If
of the lower rates ever,
my
but
in-laws always say, they go, "We thought that it was illegal when we got a 14%
yeah,
rate. We
oh yeah,
thought that they were doing something shady because it was such a good deal."
I know, I know. But a couple of mortgage lenders I've talked to, when they talk to their clients, they ask them first, could you, at this house, if you bought it at this price, at this rate today, could you afford the monthly note? And if you can, then let's talk about buying the house now. So you're not buying the rate, because we know the rates are going to go up and down based on a hundred other
Right.
things, right? And so I think that's where you guys come into play, because you're right. The biggest thing sometimes you fight against is the misinformation out there.
That is the number, it's the headlines.
Yeah.
It's the one saying that you can't if you're buying it by yourself, you know? And there's a huge, I forgot what the stat was. It was something like 20% of homeowners right now are single women. So there's
Wow.
so many people that think that they need to have a dual income, or, oh, I just bought a house. I don't qualify for another first time home buyer program. And that's not how that works. There are so many down payment assistance and there's so many things out there. Amnon and I were talking about it, that people still think you need 20%
Mm.
to put down on a house as the down payment, and that is not the case. There's some that you don't need any, or 3%. So there's an unbelievable amount of options. And something we always say too is, if you're renting, we kind of compare to where your rent is, but I give a chart and there's like 4 scenarios. I'm like, here are the best ones that I think can do them based upon your goals and concerns, but some that are coming off the top of my head, depending upon where you want to be. Let's compare each month's payment. Let's compare the down payment to see, do we want to put more money up front? Do we want to put more into it monthly? There's just so many options to fit. So I just want to know your fears and goals, and then we kind of fit into that. So I don't think people realize just how many options are out there and different ways you can go about buying a house. There's not one mold.
Yeah, and if I remember right, somebody's telling me a few months ago that with regard to some first-time home buyer programs, that can mean you just haven't owned a house for the last 3 years.
That's absolutely correct.
And I
And
would have, when I heard that, it's like, okay, I've never, that's different. That note
mhm,
has not been out in, amongst talking points with people looking to buy a house. And so, again, back to your point, there's so many different ways to get into a
right.
house. Now, it'll be different, but the good news is you're likely not going to be going up against 12 other offers like you did when you're trying to buy that house at 3% interest rate.
Right. And we do have some people that they could qualify now, and they're waiting. And I was like, well,
Mhm.
here's several things. Number one, please don't wait for that 3%, that
Mhm.
2%. Number one, because that means that there was a world catastrophe, and I don't think we should.
Yeah.
We're not aiming for that right now. So to get back down to like a 2%, something terrible needs to happen. So we're not really rooting for that. But if when things start to fluctuate is when you're in the bidding war. But if
Mhm.
you're already in that house, you built some equity and you can refinance and not have, and you got the house you wanted and you didn't have to fight anyone for it, and you're several months, a year, whatever, of equity into it already. So we do try, and there are some people that were trying to get into their house before spring, because
Mhm.
now things are starting to look good, people are getting out there, and you just want to kind of have pick of the litter. So
Yeah.
if you can, we show the long term of how to do it, or, buying down and giving yourself a year. So we go over all those options. There's so many possibilities.
Yeah, because if they buy the house today, they're going to get a chance to refinance again.
Hmm.
So again, don't worry about that. But like you said, you got equity, but man, beat the other people to it. That's
That's
the
the
goal
worst
right
part.
there. Yeah. And you get,
People that got that
yeah.
2% rate also paid 50 to $100,000 more than the listing price of the house just to get the house.
Yep.
So there's pros and cons to everything, and something that we do is, when you refinance, you won't have those lender fees, so it's totally worth it to do it. Get the house you want, start building your equity, and that rate you can manage as time goes on.
And I think you're right. The point you made earlier, a lot of times we have that friend who is nowhere near connected to the real estate world telling
Right,
us, oh, you can't buy. No, don't buy a house now. Don't even look. And they know
right.
nothing about anything with regard to real estate. So call a professional. We'll be putting Kim's phone number up here throughout the show. It's free to talk to them. Just do that,
Right.
and you'll
Couldn't
learn.
say that enough.
Yeah, you'll learn
Free to ask.
what you're up against and what you
Mhm.
need to get into place. And you're probably, I don't know if it'll end up being easier for you, but it's going to be way different than somebody who has nothing to do with the industry told you it's going to be about.
Right. And then we have, I spoke to someone and she wanted to get her ducks in a row before talking. Like she was like, Kim, I want to get a house. This is my trajectory. I can't wait to be a homeowner. I know I have to get a couple ducks in a row and I have to do some stuff. And I was like, well, what do you think you have to do? Let me get your ducks in a row. And honestly, we had a conversation based upon her timeline. She was looking to consolidate all her loans. And I was like, I just want you to know when you do that, that's great. That's a new loan. So now we have to wait 2 years to show that you're consistently paying that. So for her time frame, that wasn't the best choice. And that's why I always say, even if you don't think you're ready now, it pays to call because then we can set you up and we can get you ready for next year. It's okay if you're not ready to buy right now, but at least let us help you make the decisions that keep you on the best track to get there. And that
And
was
yep,
something that really blew her mind. She was like, "Oh,
yeah.
I didn't think that would affect anything. I was just trying to pay stuff down." And I was like, "No, let me help you figure out which to pay down. What's going to help you the most to make the biggest impact."
And for people thinking about buying a house, please go get pre-approved.
Mhm.
Not pre-qualified or pre-approved. Which one's better?
You want to get pre-approved.
Pre-approved. All right. So that way you know what you can afford. And
Mhm.
speaking of ducks in a row, now the realtor knows what you're good to look at.
Right.
The seller knows if you're a legitimate buyer. So go get that. And if you're pre-approved for $385,000 house, don't tell the realtor, oh, this $450,000 house is so cute. Let's go look at it. No, you can't afford it. So don't waste anybody's time.
Right.
But when you walk around with that pre-approved letter, that changes conversation. So please go get pre-approved.
And furthermore, to add on to that,
Mhm.
don't get pre-approved last year and tell your realtor this year, "Oh yeah, I got a pre-approval letter."
Good.
Because that's happened before too, but things change. Your
Mhm.
life changes, bills change. You just never know. I mean, even anybody, there's just things that you might miss and not realize. So that you just want to always get pre-approved within 3 months of looking, just to know where you stand currently is tremendous.
Good tip. So 3 months. I like that. I like that. How many tests did you have to take to become a licensed lender?
I had to take one, like the big NMLS test, and that's funny story. So, you want a funny story?
I do.
I, after teaching, I came home and I was like, okay. And I studied, I guess, for like 6 weeks. I gave a solid 6 weeks into it. And I was like, all right, I'm ready. And I had looked up like studying groups, testing groups, who's other people that are on the same path and had no idea. But it was like, oh, everybody's on their third, fourth, fifth time trying to pass this test, and I was like, "Oh, well, this sounds great. I can't wait to go try it. I'm this will be yay." So I walk in feeling kind of good about myself, and it's a testing center, so there's all kinds of tests going on, and there's several people in front of me. And the guy is standing there checking us in, and the girl in front of me, he's like, "Oh, what test are you here for?" And she was like, "Marketing." And he's like, "Oh, awesome, you're gonna do great. I heard a lot of positive things today. Have a great day." And then there was somebody else in front. And he's like, "What are you here for?" "Oh man, you're gonna nail it. Have a great day." And then I come up and he's like, "What are you here for?" I'm like, "The NMLS test." And he's like, "Oh, no one passes that. I'm sorry." I was like, "Sir, I surely hope that you're not here because you're taking some kind of life coach test. Like, is this us?" So, if you've ever seen Pretty Woman, you get your score right when you get out. So I went
Mhm.
in there with all the confidence in the world. I got it, passed first try, and I come out with that and I went back to him. I went,
Yes.
"Big mistake,
Yeah.
huge, huge mistake," just like the Pretty Woman scene.
Yeah. And the reaction on his face was what?
Oh, he was just dying.
Yeah.
We had a real good laugh about it
Yeah.
because,
Hmm. You
yeah, but he was funny. He's like, "I'm sorry, I
yeah.
just don't hear good
Yeah.
things."
In a previous life in Florida, I was a business broker, which means I had to take the realtor license in Florida.
Hmm.
And so I did the same thing. I studied, did the test classes and stuff like that, and had to drive down to Melbourne to take the test. And so I drive down there, and again, it's a test center. There's like 80 computers set up, and the whole world's in there doing different things. And so I go and I take the test, and I on the computer, and I finish, and I thought, okay, feel pretty good. Don't know what to base it on, but I'm pretty good at pass fail. I excel at pass fail. Okay.
Right.
Don't make me do 90, but just make me pass it and I'm
Right.
good. Right. And so I finish and I go to the front desk and the lady, I said, just finished. And I had to tell her what, or give her a sheet of paper on what computer I was on. And she pulled it up and she printed something out and she goes, come with me. And she walked me into a private room. I'm like, I cannot believe I flunked the first test, right? And I get in there, she closes the door, handed me the sheet of paper and says, congratulations, you passed. And I'm like, A, thank you, but B, don't ever pull somebody into a closed room to give
Right.
them
That
notice.
wasn't, this is not
I,
celebratory. This
no,
is
tell me in front of
frightening.
everybody that I passed. Yeah, but when I walk in there, it's like, oh God, I'm gonna have to do this for 6 more weeks today.
Right. This is like, come to the principal's office. I got to have a conversation
This
with
is
you.
not, yeah, you never dress somebody down in public and you never pull them
Right.
aside in private and tell them, hey, congratulations, you passed, because you scared the daylights out of 'em.
Right.
Oh my God, yeah, it was a
We
weird,
need to be at a testing center. I
yeah,
feel like
yeah,
that should be like a side gig we do. Just, you're going to do
yeah,
great, and just cheering people on.
yeah. And so the test center was about 45 minutes from my house. And it was a weird drive home because I still couldn't get over the fact that till this day. So that was 2007. So here we are 17 years later, and I still know exactly the room she took me in. I watched
Right.
her close the door. It's like, oh
It's
man.
traumatizing.
So in general, though, are you a good test taker?
I guess so.
Mm. You had continuing ed as a teacher, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, I mean, all things considered, I've always done pretty well on tests. So,
Now, when you first became a teacher, what qualifications did you have to show, and which state were you in?
I was in New York.
Okay.
So, you had geez. Okay, well, age me a little bit here, Mike. I'm trying to remember what happened when I
Yeah, you're
graduated
so old.
college.
Yeah,
Give me
no,
a second.
Amnon and I are sitting here. We can double your age, and you're still not at either one of us. So yeah, go ahead. Keep
But
trying to
yeah,
sell
we
it.
had I think there was 3 different tests that we had to
Oh yeah.
take. And then when I moved, I taught in Florida. I lived in Florida for a little bit because I worked in Disney World for a
Mhm.
year. And my New
That's no
York,
surprise that you worked at Disney.
it was the best.
None. Yeah.
Um, but then I taught down there too, and then here, so my license was, um, it was accepted in both states, and then I took several tests here while teaching, and I
Yeah.
have graduate add-on certifications. So
So I think you might be the first person. So this is, I think you're episode 226. I'd like to thank everybody for watching and being with us. I think you're the first graduate of St. Joe's
Joseph's
University's,
College,
yeah,
yeah,
in New York. So I believe that to be correct.
yeah. Oh, well, I mean, St. Joe's. So funny story about that. I was, I applied to, you know, all these different colleges, different universities, places, and I was in study hall with a friend of mine in high school, and she was like, "Oh, St. Joe's is here." Never heard of them before, didn't even know they existed. And she was like, "I'm gonna go. You can just apply here, like meet with them and apply on the spot, and they'll, see." I was like, "Eh." I was all caught up with work. I had nothing else to do. Let's
Yeah.
just apply to another school. Why not? So went with her and applied. That I had just worked at a special education. We had special education public schools on the island in New York. And I had this amazing experience one to one with this little boy who had autism, and we just bonded. I was really into education at that moment, and St. Joseph's is a teaching college. So I applied. I had no desire. It's a You don't stay on campus. It was a commuter school. I had no desire to do that whatsoever. But again, I had nothing to do during study hall. So I applied. I toured a whole bunch of other colleges. I ended up getting a full academic scholarship to St. Joe's, and it became a big, oh, I could have no student
Yeah.
loans, or I can have this college experience going away. Um, I just opted to not have the loans, and all of us, we're very close still, my college girls, we all are still very close in talk, but it was so funny. Okay, so we grew up on Long Island and all there for kind of the same reason, right? There, a lot of us were just like, we were trying to save money. And so my friend always used to say, in the years of life, this commuter school is just our New Jersey. And we used to die. That was our, this is on the road trip of life. This is our New Jersey because, poor
Yep.
New Jersey. That's the big joke.
Now, are you like me and my brother that we question the school we went to that actually let us in?
Yeah, I don't know what they were thinking. We were quite the crew.
And
They really wanted me.
yeah,
That's on them.
and then the only follow up question is, could you get in today if you
Yeah.
apply?
No idea. They might have learned. They might have
Yeah,
learned
yeah.
from there. We started we tried to make it as much of our college experience as we could. We started a sorority.
Nice.
So we just, they may not want us again.
Yeah, the old fraternity that was not uh, not licensed nationally was tap a keg a day. I don't know if you had that on your campus, but yeah.
Yeah,
So,
you started that, I assume.
no, never was a beer drinker. No, I
Really?
was a late. I still don't drink beer, but I was
I
a
was gonna
late.
say only hard liquor. I mean, I don't know.
Uh, vodka now. It used to be
Okay.
rum, but yeah. But anyways, I was a late bloomer in a lot of things, so I never
I
was a
was
big
too.
drinker early on. So
I think it was my freshman spring semester or fall semester. No, maybe it was fall of sophomore year was the first time I like truly drank
mm,
and just straight vodka.
yeah,
And I was like,
there you go.
oh,
Yeah,
but I had no idea what I was doing. So like, what? Drink this 8-ounce glass of just vodka and chase it with a little cranberry juice. Had no idea. So there's
yeah, and
waiting doesn't give you a lot of
yeah,
experience.
and in Tennessee, I think at the time the legal age was 19, so this would have been 1980 for me. And I believe I was dating this girl, and we went out to drink one night. She goes, "Oh, you got to try my favorite drink," and I don't know that I'd had a full drink up to that point. And I said, "Okay." And it was a slow gin fizz. That was, I think, one of my first official drinks. I'm like, "Hmm, I don't know that I've
That
heard
was
of that
quite the
since."
first drink.
I was on a date with a girl I like. Of course I was gonna drink it, you know? So, right? That's what
That's
we guys
great.
do. "Oh, no, honey, love that." First time I ever lied to my wife, and notice I said first time. Uh, on our first date, we went to dinner, and then we went back to her house. We're just hanging out. She goes, "Hey, you want me to put some music on?" I'm like, "Sure." She goes, "Hey, do you like Johnny Mathis?" I went, "Sure." It's a running joke now. Not a fan of Johnny Mathis, but I wanted more time with that lady, and
Yes. Oh, but that's
yep,
sweet. That's a
yep.
romantic lie. That's
Oh, yep,
acceptable.
yep. She could have put on opera. Sure. I wasn't a country music fan then. You like country? Sure. I didn't.
Whatever. Right.
Yep.
However, I can hang out
I
with you.
wanted more time. So you put on whatever you want. So even the boys know that anytime they hear Johnny Mathis, I'll get a text. "Hey, heard a Johnny Mathis song. I know he's your favorite." So, yep. But yeah.
Oh, I'm putting that one in my pocket, Mike. I'm
Oh, yeah.
gonna
Yep. 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 Okay. So I always enjoy talking with husband and wives that run a business together. And I know it's hard for you to believe, but I only have two questions about it. The first question is, after 5:30 or 6 o'clock, whenever the workday is over, what do you two talk about? And secondly, who breaks the tie?
Who breaks the tie?
You know what I mean. Husband and
No.
wife in a business, decision need to be made about whatever. Who
Oh,
breaks the tie?
okay. Let's start with the first one.
Yes.
Okay, so I will say we have been really embracing how much we get to see each other.
Yes.
Being in that's been the greatest part is how much time we actually get to spend together. And caught on from this interview. I don't really run out of things to talk
No.
about. God bless Jared. He's
Yeah.
a saint. He has the patience. So there will always be we come up with the most ridiculous things. Oh, I heard this, and what
Mm,
is your take on it? Usually there's a Marvel dispute. We like to talk about things in Marvel,
Okay.
or our kids come up with the most ridiculous questions, so there's always some kind of like pondering of who knows. I forgot what Tobin or Natalie asked the other day about spiders and legs, and what if they only had two, and how would
Mm,
that change things? We have some ridiculous conversations in our house.
okay.
The tie, funny. So usually, I think Jared, for the most part, defers to me unless I'm very adamant. And I was like, and I don't want to make this decision.
Yeah.
And Jared will always make it. Um, unless it's something, which is really funny, unless it's something financial. Usually Jared, um, but it's the opposite. Usually I can be a little too frugal, and Jared's like, no, there's things
Mm.
that are worth it, and I'm not letting. Like, I will buy shoes from Five Below. Um, and he used to sell shoes, actually. He's very adamant about good shoes. And he gets very angry about that. And so when it comes to like buying shoes for the kids, where I'm like, oh my gosh, they're gonna outgrow them next week or get a hole or leave them in the mud, and I'll want to get a cheap pair. Jared
Mm.
puts his foot down about those things. So I think we have our things, and it alternates. But Jared, bless his heart, he's fantastic. I mean, if something always goes wrong, Jared will be like, I was the man of the house, like, it falls on me even if I made that decision. So he signed up for crazy, and he maintains it all the time.
All right. I like that. Uh, so the other question I enjoy asking married folks on the show. Your husband's name is Jared. We've established that. He is madly in love with you, or he should be. We've established that. How did you two meet, and do you both tell the story the same way?
The answer to the latter is no, we do not tell it the same way.
Good.
I'm going to open with what he says, because this is usually how it goes. Somebody will ask us how we met, and Jared will say, "Oh, she jumped out of my birthday cake." And then everybody's face
Yeah.
goes, "What? Like, you did what? What is this other life you had?" Um, we met through mutual friends. Jared was actually living in Charlottesville, Virginia, and it was his 30th birthday. And he came down to visit his friends and celebrate his birthday. And so my girlfriend was like, "Hey, we're all going out tonight."
Wait, you were here in Raleigh.
I was in Raleigh.
Gotcha. Okay. He was in.
Yep.
Okay. Gotcha. Right.
I
Good.
was in Raleigh. He came down to visit and just hang out with, the college boys,
Hmm.
celebrate his birthday. I was friends with them, so they were like, "Hey, do you want to come out? We're gonna go get dinner." And we went back to the house and played cards. So I went, and I was, as the story always goes, I had gotten out of a relationship a while ago, and I was adamantly against meeting anybody. I was just going to hang out with my friends. And Jared and I met, and that was on a Saturday. We played cards. He said the same thing. I ended up leaving, but I was teaching him family card games. My family's huge card players. He's like, "I would have played cards all night if you would have just stayed."
Hmm.
Um,
Yep.
and that was a Saturday. We saw each other
Sure.
again on Sunday. There was a little inside joke about these, I don't even know what they're called, but they're like these paper things. They're on a stick, and you roll them. The paper goes out like a streamer. I didn't know what it was. He drove apparently all over the triangle, got a bouquet of them, and brought them to me on Sunday. He was working for American Mortgage in Charlottesville. Wednesday was his actual birthday, if you're staying with this timeline. We didn't exchange phone numbers. I got his email from her, and I had said, like, "Happy birthday. I know, too bad you're working on your birthday, but yay, we have jobs. Like, at least we have that." Had no, this was 2009, so not a great time for mortgage. They had just like laid everybody off. They were
Mhm.
closing down. So obviously didn't know that when I sent the email. And that Friday, he moved here, and we've been together ever since.
All right. So, how do you tell the story? And I like the cake thing, so I get it now. But how do you tell the story?
That's how I tell the story. Jared leaves it at she jumped out of a cake
Okay.
and then stops talking.
I
And
like
it's
it.
super awkward.
All right. So, in this group you went to that got together that day, who did he know and who did you know?
I knew, okay, so it was these were his roommates from college, his best friends. So he knew all the guys, and the girlfriend of the guy that he was meeting at Greg,
Mhm.
Amanda, I hope you're listening. I'm going to send this to you so you
Yes.
hear this. But Greg and Amanda, so he was going to stay with Greg, and Amanda, Greg's girlfriend, is who I was friends with that brought me in.
Was there, and I love these moment in time decisions. Was there any chance that you weren't going to make that? No, not knowing you were going to meet Jared, but was it like, I'm going to try to get there? I don't know. Or is it always, yeah, count me in, I'm there?
Oh, it was 100% a no.
Right.
My
Yeah.
100, it was, I was not going
Yep.
because I didn't want to meet anybody else. I was still in this like, nah, I don't care about people. Like,
Yep.
I'm like, I love you. I want to hang out with you. I have no desire to meet anybody else. So there was I sitting in my apartment with my friend Michelle, and she was like, "Just go, like, just go and hang out with Amanda. Who cares? You don't have to meet anybody." And so there was a lot of teetering, and then Amanda
Yep.
was like, "I'll come pick you up. You
Yep.
know, you and I'll just hang out." And so she did. She came, she picked me up. She had dropped me off home, and there was a very good chance of me not going. So it
Yeah.
was
And
one of those.
again, if you said no, now Jared really has Michelle to thank. I hope he gives
Right.
her due credit in his happiness.
Yes, we
Uh,
I drove Michelle crazy. I
that's
mean,
okay.
even to get her here. So
That doesn't matter. Jared needs to thank Michelle every year on your anniversary for getting you there. Yes. So, and Amanda, but Michelle's like, ah, come on. But I love those because who knows where you two are if you never went to that party. Now, you
I
may
know.
have met again with the friend,
Right.
the guy, Greg and Amanda, you may have, but, you know, not 100% sure. So I always love
It's
those.
that butterfly effect. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
those decisions, moments in time. All right, so you have two kids, a son and a daughter.
Hmm.
Please share the story about how you named your daughter.
Well,
I remember. Don't I get a point for that? I
you do. You
remember.
get a point.
Yeah.
We were our son. We had the name picked out. We had no girl name, and then our daughter. We had no boy name. But we were sitting there, and we every year Jared and I watch Love Actually. It's our favorite Christmas movie, and our favorite part of it is we love Natalie in there, who Hugh Grant is with, and she signs the card, the Christmas card to him and writes, "Love always, your Natalie." We love that part. And we were like, "Natalie, that's
Mm,
it. We need our Natalie." So that's who that little nugget is named after.
love that movie. It's one of our families. That and Princess Bride, The
Hmm.
American President. Some movies like that that no matter where you are in the movie, you watch it till the end from there. But yeah, Natalie was one of my
Yes.
favorites. So like a story.
Your
And so
Natalie.
so your son has no good story. Can you make up something for him?
Oh no, Tobin has a good story too.
Okay, do tell.
We were reading, I always emphasize this because Jared and I read big young adult novels, not readers at the time, and we had read Divergent, the book series, again, the YA novel, loved it. The movie wasn't out yet. So for everybody that knows the movie, we were into the book. And one of the main characters, his name was Tobias. And there's these factions, post-apocalyptic, your traditional young adult novel. There was all these factions, and he says, I don't want to be one thing. I want to be brave and selfless and kind and smart and honest. And so that line he says, and I was like, oh, Jared and I both said, I'm like, we need to name our kid Tobias after this character. And Jared's like, oh, I'm not even going to argue with you. Like, I love your reason. But both of us were kind of like, Tobias, though, do we
Yeah.
want Tobias? And so I was like, Tobin's a derivative of that. Tobin kind of sounds cool. Denzel Washington plays Tobin Frost in this movie, Safe House, that we had watched around that time. And love you, Denzel. And so we were like, oh, that sealed the deal. We're like, Tobin, close enough. But that quote has always followed him. We had it hung in his nursery. We tell him all the time whenever he does anything. You gotta be smart and kind
Yeah.
and honest and brave. You gotta do all the things.
And I guess he's too young to watch that movie yet.
Yeah, he might be getting there event where he might be getting he's 9 now.
Yeah.
So we're getting there, but he hasn't watched it yet. He knows the premise, like we've gone through the storyline and the plot. He knows all about it. I might make him
Yeah.
read it before he gets to watch
Yeah.
it.
And I can't wait for Natalie to watch Love Actually one day, the uncut version, and hear who she was named after.
plays such a great character. I
Oh,
think she
yes.
is
Oh,
the
yeah.
best. We love her in
Oh,
that
yeah.
movie.
That's everything you want in a woman right there. It's like,
Yes,
yep,
she's fun,
yep,
and that's why. I
yep.
mean, we couldn't have gone wrong with it. And I'll tell you what, our Natalie is definitely going that direction. She is a spunky, feisty, sweet little thing. So
Well, good.
they were named correctly.
So about a month or maybe 6 weeks ago, you had an accident at the house, and I would like you to tell the story of what actually happened and what you actually broke.
I don't know what you're talking
I
about,
don't
Michael.
either,
So
but I just make
sorry.
stuff up and I put my guest on the spot. So your chance to riff here. Yeah.
I was being a bit much. As I said, God bless Jared, because he is the calm to my storm. And as usual, I don't know how to leave well enough alone. So it was drizzling out, and the kids just wanted to play outside in the rain. And I was like, awesome. But I wanted to move some stuff in the garage in case they wanted to continue playing and get out of the rain. Again, cannot emphasize this enough. They didn't ask for this. I had even asked Jared, like, hey, do you want to help me move stuff? And he's like, there's no point. We're working right now. Just finish up what we're doing. I was like, no, I'm going to move it. So moving baskets. Now I said enough nice things about Jared. I'm going to throw him
Mhm.
under the bus now.
Yep.
He had tools that I had wanted hung up that
Mhm.
were laying down. I was in socks, did not decide to put sneakers on to do this endeavor. Not a big shoes wearing person ever. I always take my shoes off at the office. I just walk around with no shoes. There was a hedge trimmer without the guards on the side, for all those
Mhm.
little spiky things.
Oh, yeah.
And I went to move a soccer goal, I think. I was moving something. My sock what got stuck on the hedge. It happened so quick. I don't even remember. I just remember holding the bucket and then popping up off the ground. And my hands were here, but I guess my face just bounced off the
Mhm.
garage floor. My son and his friend were standing there. I hadn't really processed what happened, so I just stood up and like went, "I'm okay. Everything's
Cut out like
okay."
a gymnast. I stuck the landing.
Right? Yeah. I was like, "I'm fine. Everything's okay." And Tobin's like, "You're not fine." And I looked down, and it is a murder scene of blood just everywhere. And I was like, "Oh, so now I have like
Mhm.
there's just blood like spilling through my hands." And I was like, "Can you get daddy?" Like, Jared comes out. I'm like, "I'm fine. Everything's fine. I'm really fine." I was not fine. We
Mhm.
went and got x-rays. I 100% broke my nose. It is all back to normal now, but I was the first one out of my son and my husband to break my nose out of everyone in this house. So it was all me. It was great in the beginning. It bruised a little on the side. My nose was the size of my face. It swelled up
Mhm.
huge. It was super fun for a while, but we are back to normal. And I don't go in the garage very often these days.
No, no,
So
no, no.
who knows what's
Mhm.
happening in there?
Yeah. You need a she shed. Jared can have the
Yeah,
garage. You need a she
a
shed. Yeah.
carpeted one.
And Marcella was a big help to you, right?
Oh, and I
Yeah.
said to Marcella, and Marcella, huge shout out to Marcella with Mary Kay. Um, I thought Mary Kay was just another one. And I told her, I was like, you could tell me what you do, but I'm so over these like new hot trends of things to
Mhm.
buy. But Marcella was the most educational moment. I mean, I learned that I am a child and know nothing about my skin. I was washing my face with the same stuff from middle school. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. But Marcella gave me like truly explained everything to me and how it all works. And I did. I was using my lotion, my face. I was starting to feel like $1,000,000. It was cleaning me up. So I brought that confidence right back up. It was huge. She was the only one I was sending pictures of my face to. Everybody, my morbid friends, were like, keep sending us pictures. Let's see what you look like.
But you don't know because my oldest son was playing at a basketball game one time and loose ball on the floor, and he gets up and the eye right, over his right eye for the third time he ended up getting stitches. But we're like, Travis, he goes, no, 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 I'm fine, which is what you told Tobin. No, 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 I'm
Right.
good. And then he does this like, hmm.
Whoops. I guess I'm not.
But yeah, in your mind, you're like, I'm in control. I got this. I could, yeah. So,
Right.
but
Yeah, your instincts kick in. And then Jared was like, "All right, we got to take you to the doctor. They have to
yeah,
snap it back in place." And I was like, "No, no, no, I want to be fine. Like, I don't want to do
yeah.
that. That sounds terrible." And I was like, that's when it was starting to hit me. And when we went to the doctor, he was like, this isn't Rocky. Like, we
Yeah.
don't do that. And then I was like, oh, thank God. So go get your x-ray if you ever break your
Yep.
nose. They will not jam your face immediately upon arrival.
And did your family make you clean your own blood up off the garage floor?
Oh, no, no. Tobin and Joe were so sweet. They both cleaned it all up.
Good.
Tobin was a little nervous, but
Uh-huh.
he went into go mode. Like, he just wanted to help. So
And now all of Jared's tools are hung up and he's got a cover on the blade.
yes,
Yeah,
sir.
good. Tough way to learn it though, wasn't it?
That cover went on that night. It
Yeah.
was
Oh yeah. Yeah. On the way home, honey, I'm gonna stop here at yeah.
yeah.
So one of the fun things about doing this show is doing some research on my guests. And as
Oh,
I've told people before, the fun stuff really doesn't happen till page 2 of Google. Okay. So I'm typing in Kim and Kimberly and movement more, Williamson Mortgage Team, all the good stuff. Kind of coming, and I come across. I thought, all right, I found a couple decent things here, and then like, you know what? Haven't been on her Facebook page yet. So I go to your
God, I feel like
Facebook
I'm on
page.
Hot Ones. Did you ever
Oh
watch
yeah,
Hot
oh
Ones?
yeah, yeah. You are. And so on your Facebook page, you have basically family pictures. The four
Uh-huh.
of you, or you and Jared, all cute and young and all that stuff. And yeah, nice. So people believe it. Just want you to know that. Don't know if it's working, but people believe it. Okay.
Fake it till you make it. We're
So
trying.
then it's like, all right, well, let me find something good. Scroll, like 4 drinks, and 3 hours later, finally, I hit something good. You were playing music bingo
Uh-huh.
about a year ago. Are you any good
Uh-huh.
at that?
No.
Okay.
But I had good friends with me
There you
that were
go.
there. I'm the girl that doesn't know the song. I don't know who's singing it, but I will sing along all the long lyrics because if you say to me, "Hey, you know that new song?" and you tell me the title, I'll go, "No, I haven't heard it." It starts playing and I am jamming along. I'm
Mm,
like, "Oh, I do know this. Who knew?" So that was hard because they would play some music. I tend to sing the wrong lyrics
good.
constantly.
Good.
And I was like, "Oh, I know the next words." And they're like, "Cool. But do you know who it's by or the
Yeah.
name of it?" I was like, let me see if I can find some of the lyrics that I think are in it." And so that's kind
Some
of
girl
how it
sings
went.
it is the most you know about us on the song, right?
Yeah, I was like, I think these are the lyrics in it. Let's go
Yeah.
for this one. My good friend Thor is who did the music.
Yep.
So I was all the time, I was like, "Thor, look, do you hear me singing? I swear I know it." He's like, "You got to find it."
But yeah, it's you always need to play trivia with some friends that know some things. Like you
Yes.
can know 3 things, but it'd be nice if they know 9 things. Because
Right. And then when your powers
yep.
combine, we did that. Thor did virtual trivia during quarantine. And
Oh,
so we
nice.
all logged on like this on Facebook Live and he would put it up and we would answer. And so a couple of us had a group and it was very like when our powers combine, like this isn't my area, but this is
Yeah.
yours. And I can't believe you have that useless knowledge. So
Oh, sometimes
it
you wait for that to pay off one day.
that's all you want,
Is why do I still know that? Yeah.
right? Like Ticonderoga, like, is that the Civil War battle? No, it's a number two pencil. Like all of a sudden,
I did not know
all of
that.
a sudden that pays off. You
Okay.
never know.
I did not know that. Yeah, taekwondo. Okay, I like that. Right. So you do not miss the snow from New York, can I assume?
Oh, I miss it terribly.
Really?
I moved before I was responsible solely for my own driveway.
Okay.
So I have nothing but joyous memories. I was
Ah,
22 when I moved to Florida for Disney. So all my memories, I was still living at home. If I shoveled the driveway, it was because I was helping my parents. Like it wasn't my sole responsibility.
yeah.
So snow is super magical and fun. I am in the minority down here. I drive everyone crazy during the winter with my forecast, my predictions, my snow dance. I
Yeah.
want it in the worst way. 2 years without snow. Kim is a cranky bear. If we don't get it next year, we are
Yeah.
going. Jared promised me I get a week in the mountains of snow because I didn't get to touch it this year, but I am a big fan of the snow.
All right. So we talked about before the show. If everybody's aware, there is going to be an eclipse today, and is it totality? Is that
We are not in the line of
right? But
totality,
that's the name of
but
it, right?
there is
Yeah.
a total, yep,
Yeah.
total solar eclipse
of the
today.
of the heart. Can you sing that song?
Eclipse of the heart. Yeah,
Yeah.
see?
Okay. All right. I got you. But you don't know
And
who
I think
sings it,
that's the
right?
name. Is that the name of the song? Eclipse
Total
of the
eclipse
Heart?
of the heart.
Yeah,
But
see, look.
you have no idea who sings it, right?
No.
Okay, good. You're on the team then.
Good. See, but I'll
So
sing it to you.
yeah. Oh, I know you will, and you'll dance to it as well.
100%.
You made an eclipse breakfast this morning.
We are doing nonstop eclipsings today. So we're not in the path of totality. In 2017, we saw it. It was amazing. We drove to South Carolina and you have your glasses, you watch it, and the moon slowly covers the sun. And then we just kind of held the camera out and had it going so we could view it, but you see it goes dark. I mean, completely dark. You could take your glasses off, you could stare up at the sun because
Mhm.
the moon's blocking it.
Right.
And now it's 2 in the afternoon and it looks like midnight. It is the coolest thing ever. And then it just goes right back to normal. So now in Raleigh, we're going to see about 80%. So you won't really, if you're not looking up, it won't necessarily affect your day. Like you won't
Now,
notice it just
right.
get dark.
So, Kim, you know my question was about breakfast, don't you?
Well, you have to understand what the eclipse is happening here. Calm down, Mike. I'm very excited about today. I
I
just
can
need you
tell.
to maintain and let me talk about
Okay.
it.
But I only have 3 more hours before Amnon has to sign me off, okay? So get to the point.
So we're gonna, since we don't get to see the whole thing, we're doing activities all day. So we did Mummy's Eyes, where you put the egg in the middle of the bread, and that was our sun. And then we had the little leftover bread circle, and we put cinnamon, sugar, and butter on it and covered it up. Then we just had a circle that just had butter and sugar, and then the kids put cinnamon on it to cover it up. So it was the sun, and then the sun getting covered. And we have shirts that are drying now that we drew a circle, put some painter's tape on it, sprayed it with some tie dye. We're going to take that off. So you just see the rays on the outside and the sun is covered. We're going to have sun chips and moon
Nice.
pie. We're very
Nice.
excited.
I like that. Yeah, I've never heard of eclipse breakfast. I needed to know more, and so
Oh, yeah. More's going to keep coming.
yeah.
I'll keep you
Right.
posted on how it goes today.
Good. So next time I have you on, we will need to talk about your role at Disney because I so see you as a Disney employee. It just makes
I
perfect sense. Yeah.
believe in the
Uh,
faith, trust, and pixie dust 100%.
I bet you do. Yeah. So real quick, so people who are watching the show got some good tips early about thinking about wanting to buy a house. What's maybe the first step or two that they need to, or the first thing they need to look at or think about if they want to figure out what's in order and what's not?
Well, I mean, the first thing you need to do is make a phone call.
Yep.
And so that we can talk. And I'm just going to ask, like, what are your priorities? What are your fears? What are your concerns? What do things look like for you now? What kind of bills are we paying? What kind of debt do you have? We just want to know your scenario. If you have to be in a certain location, that's great. Then we're going to look at comps and just kind of see what houses are going for then and make a plan for you to get there if you're not there now, or tell you the best way to do it. We might even make some suggestions about, based upon what you have, here's what you could do to save you some money or to pay off that later if you use this program. So it's really a conversation. The best thing you can do is have a conversation. And Movement Mortgage, I'll give them a little shout out. That's how the second reason I got into it is as an impact lender. 40% of all the profits from the company go back into the community. So there are self-sustaining schools. We're building one here in Raleigh. When I taught downtown Raleigh, I had a high needs population, and Movement Mortgage came in and washed the feet of all our kids and gave every child a brand new pair of shoes. And those kiddos asked to keep the box because they never had a box or tags of anything new before. So it's kind of nice too to know that you're doing something good for the community and giving back when buying your house. And so, yeah, a conversation just to find out where you are, what you want, and we'll get what you need. But let's just talk and get to know each other first so that we can kind of figure out what direction we're going to guide you.
Very nice. And we've been putting Kim's phone number up on the screen there. So please give her a call. It costs you nothing. You could have a 5-minute phone call now and maybe not call her back till August. That's fine with her as well. She just wants to
But
know
I'll keep
you're
checking up on you.
yeah,
I'm
but
in this to make friends.
there you go. Yeah, that's true. That she will make a friend, but B, she's just going to make sure you're good to go to reach the goal you have. So, Kim, it's been a blast. I knew this would be a good one. I knew there would be more to talk about, so we will revisit I got to know more Disney stuff because I just,
This was great, Mike. Thank you so much.
you bet. And hope 2024 keeps on going good for you and Jared. And we will see everybody next time on Triangle BNI.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. If you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it in the archives section at nissancommunications.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, and like us on Facebook. Sponsored by StreamingGear.com and DeltaForce.net.